channel. My name's Angela and this is Devon Thread Tales. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be sharing with you everything that I've made in December. This is my first video of 2021, so Happy New Year to you all. I hope everybody is feeling well, and I really hope that everybody is feeling much more positive about the year that's coming, and that we'll have a much better time and a healthier time, and things will improve for us all greatly. If you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed before and you fancy being notified of future videos that come out, then please do subscribe, press that notification bell, give me a thumbs up, and most importantly, say hi in the comments. I absolutely love having a bit of a chat with all of you. Let me know where you are on your sewing journey. Are you brand new to sewing? Have you been sewing for years? Is it something that you used to do and you've now picked up now? I really love hearing about where people are on their journey and why they're sewing, so pop that in the comments below and have a chat with each other as well, because it's just really nice. Okay, so on with the things that I've been making. The first thing I made, and I did actually share it on my last video, I think it was, or it might have even been the video before, when I said that I'd been making some cushions in December, so I won't go on about those too much, but as you can see, I've made some cushion covers. They're very Christmas themed, and they will be coming off soon, but I actually bought an old, a brand new duvet cover. It wasn't an old duvet cover, it was a new duvet cover, very inexpensive, and I cut it up and made it into cushions, and I just popped a zip along the seam of one, if I can see the zip somewhere, put a zip in the seam of each cushion, and I popped one side fabric and the other side of the duvet fabric, and I'm really pleased with how they came out. They feel like they've given my cushions a new lease of life, and it just made the place feel a little bit more Christmassy, so it's been really good. Then I decided that I wanted to get the dogs involved in Christmas. So I'm sorry, there are a couple of Christmas things here, but then once I've got those over and done with, I'll get on to some clothing. But I actually made my dogs some Christmas collars. Now, I copied a YouTube tutorial. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll pop the link in below so that you can go and watch it if you are interested in making some yourself. They're fleece lined, and they're normally made with a ribbon. Now, my dogs are whippets, and they have incredibly long claws, and you can cut them down, but you can never cut them down so that they're sort of under the fur because of the type of dogs they are, and they do tend to scratch, and the collars that I've bought them previously have all hitched and things like that, so I've bought them collars before, and they're quite expensive because they need something a bit wider and soft on their neck because of how slender their necks are. And I'm really pleased with what I've done, because I actually just used some fat quarters that I had in my stash, and I thought, oh, I know they're not going to last very long because they're only cotton, but in actual fact they've lasted so much better than the ribbon ones. So I am going to make them some new collars for this year, which are obviously not Christmassy, because I think they're going to last so much better, and they're all lovely and soft on the inside, so they seem to not be irritated by them at all. I did make two different types. I made them these as well, but they haven't worn these yet, so little tartan ones, still ever so slightly Christmassy, but I think I can get away with those for a bit longer, and then I'll make them some others, like I say. I actually bought some different webbing. I bought this black webbing, and I think I just bought it from eBay, but I've also bought some rainbow coloured ones as well, so I thought I could have some fun with that and make some really bright and interesting collars. So that was my second make. I have also made a couple of face masks. Now, my daughters asked if I could make them some Christmas face masks, which was fine, and I decided to use a different style than I've used before, and I've actually gone for a shaped face mask, and it's on a blog post, and it comes with a free pattern, and I'm going to again put the link to that blog post down below so that you can go and have a look at it for yourself, and you can choose what size you make. You actually measure from the tip of your nose to your chin, and I think there's 4 or possibly even 5 different sizes that you can choose from, and I'm so pleased because I wasn't sure at first, but actually, if you can see, I feel like they fit really, really well, and they're really comfortable. So I'll take it off so you can hear me. They wash really well, and they've got 3 layers. They've actually got a jersey layer in between these 2 cotton layers. So there's 3 different types of fabric in there, and I just feel like they're a really good make, and I'm going to make some more of these. In fact, I made a couple which are non-Christmassy for my parents, but they've already got them, and they needed a different size, so I was able to make a different size, and it's just fantastic, really easy to put together. So I just thought I would share those. The last thing that I have to share with you, which is non-clothing, slightly clothing, is actually this headband. And I don't know if any of you remember, but my daughter actually made me a crocheted headband a while ago, and I just absolutely love it. I like going out for walks even when it's cold and wet and windy, but I get quite a bit of bad earache, and if I have my hair up in a ponytail, a hat is no good for me. So she made me this headband, and I said to her, I really fancy having a little go myself. So she taught me how to crochet this headband. I'll try and pop it on, because although I should have maybe done this first and I mess all my hair up. So it just goes on like that and covers your ears, which is just nice and comfy, but I can still have my hair in a ponytail, so it just works really, really well. I don't know, I probably look a bit silly. But anyway, I've made this crocheted one, and I'm really proud of myself for crocheting this. Now, I've seen Adele from Button and Pip has been crocheting some amazing blankets for her daughters, and I don't think I'm quite up to that level yet, but I've never ever crocheted anything in my life before other than the initial chain. I can do that forever and ever and ever, but that bit where you then start crocheting something to make like almost like a fabric up, I've never been able to do. So there's my first make. Right, I'm now going to show you something that I made for my husband. Now, I shared in one of my previous videos some fabrics that I had bought that I was going to make different things for. I can't remember which fabric haul it was, possibly a December one, so I'll pop the link in up here if I haven't shared it before already. And he wanted some pajamas, and he chose some really funny fabric. He chose this fabric from First for Fabrics, and it is a navy blue fabric with cars all over it, and it says I love cars, and it's got taxis and traffic lights, and he didn't really think anything much more of it other than, oh, you'll make some for me at some point. But I actually managed to whiz them up one day while he was at work just before Christmas, and every Christmas Eve we do a, oh gosh, look, it looks like Father Christmas has left some presents under the tree by accident the night before, and it's always pajamas. And I've never done that for my husband before, it's only ever for our girls, and this year I popped some under the tree for him as well. So I made him the Burda 6602, which is a really lovely pattern. I'll put a picture of the pattern cover up on the screen for you. And I made View B. It's meant to have a pocket, but I don't think he's going to be using a pocket when he's in bed, so I didn't put the pocket on. I made the size small for him, and it's just a really lovely little t-shirt. I've made this for him several times before as a long sleeve top, and I'll try and put a link into a video that I've done before where I've done that for him. It's a really nice basic pattern. It whizzes up really quickly and it just fits really well, so I'm really pleased with that. And then to match it, I made him the men's Hudson pants, which I made in a size 32. The Hudson pants is meant to have a tie on the front, which I just didn't bother with. He wasn't bothered about them. He's had a pair of these before with tractor fabric. He obviously goes very serious grown-up fabric. So I'll put a link into the video where he's wearing his tractor ones. But I didn't bother with the tie, and he's happy with that. It's got nice big pockets. Again, it fits really nicely. Now, somebody did ask me about whether the Hudson pants is different in the female version and the male version, and I have to say I wasn't really sure. I've got both patterns, and I used it, you know, the male one for my husband and the female one for me and my girls, and I got the pattern pieces and I laid them all out and tried to compare the difference between the male and the female, and I have to be honest, they are really quite different. It's very different in shape and the way the crotches and the back section is. So I do think it's worth having the male pattern for man and the female pattern for a woman, if that helps anybody that was wondering. So I'm really, really pleased with those. I think they've come out really well. He's really pleased with them. My girls think it's hilarious because they said he looks like an 8-year-old boy wearing them, but he doesn't care. He's quite comfy in them. And I'm sure in time I'll be making him some more pajamas like those as well. So that was for my husband. Then I wanted to share with you something that I've made for myself. I've made myself the Tilly and the Buttons Billie sweatshirt, which is what I'm wearing now. Now you might think, oh, it doesn't quite look like the Billie sweatshirt, and that's because I actually changed the sleeve head. The Billie comes with 2 different sleeve options. It either comes with a totally plain normal sleeve, or it comes with a sleeve which has a puffy shoulder and then these sort of balloon sleeves at the bottom. And I know that when I've tried to wear things which have got anything slightly poofy here, I feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel like I'm quite wide and broad shouldered, and I feel quite uncomfortable when I wear that. So I did a bit of an amalgamation between the 2 pattern pieces. I got the sleeve head of the plain sleeve and I laid the other sleeve over the top of it and tried to sort of blend together the 2 different pattern pieces so that I could still have this balloon sleeve but have the smoother sleeve head at the top. Now I managed to do it, and I did it using the cuffs that come with the pattern. But because I had manipulated the pattern and I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing, the sleeves were actually ever so slightly short. And because I wanted to not completely write off the garment altogether, what I did is I actually unpicked the cuff that I had done and just made a much deeper cuff. So using the same width around, I just increased this. I think I increased it by 3 inches, because then obviously when it was folded over in half, that's only 1.5 inches increase in size, and I'm absolutely fine with that. What I will do is I'm going to adjust my pattern piece for another time so that my sleeve is actually 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches longer, and I can then use the smaller cuff piece again. But I'm really happy with how this has turned out. It also has a band across the bottom, as you can see, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see in this video. I'll try and hold my sleeve up so you can see it, but it's actually in this really lovely sweatshirting fabric, which is from Sewisfaction, and it's got almost like a waffly kind of texture to it, but it has a sparkle. It's really subtle. It's a very subtle sparkle all the way through it, and I really like it. I'm not a big bling bling kind of girl, and so I wanted something that was a bit different but not really sort of spangly and sparkly, and this was just perfect. Now I have to just have a bit of a word of warning with this fabric. I've had a little bit of an issue with it, and I think it's only fair that I share that. So whilst I love it and I think it works really well, and I'm going to share with you what I've got on my bottom half in a minute as well, when I was making this, I didn't have any nail varnish on, and when I was making it, I noticed that my nails were going really black. Now I'd wash this fabric, as I wash all of my fabric before I make anything, but my nails were going black, and I thought, oh gosh, that's a bit strange, but I just carried on making it, and then a couple of times I noticed I had some black marks on some things around my sewing table. And it really has this weird kind of black powdery kind of stuff that keeps coming off of it. And I've marked a few things that I've touched after I've been handling it. So I've washed it 2 or 3 times more, but it's still doing it. Not as much, it's definitely less than it was, but I wore it to work one day, and it was a lovely garment to wear to work, really nice. It felt really comfortable, but still a bit smart, a bit different with the sleeves. This is definitely a different look for me. I wore it with a really nice old skirt of mine, and when I got home and I was getting undressed to go to bed and I took it off, I looked like I was bruised all across here and all across my tummy, because this black stuff had just come off, and it was really odd. So I love this fabric, and I love Sewisfaction. It's nothing against Sewisfaction at all, but I just wanted to pre-warn you, if you do get this fabric, just be a bit cautious and make sure maybe you wash it 2 or 3 times before handling it, because there are a few things that the black marks have gone on to, and I just can't get them off, so it's a bit of a shame. Anyway, I'm just going to pause my video there, and then I'm going to show you what I've got on my bottom half. So the next thing that I've made are the Sew Over It Ultimate Trousers. Now, I said that I was going to make these. I bought the fabric at the same time as I bought this sweatshirting fabric, and it is a Ponte-Roma. I would say it's quite a lightweight Ponte-Roma. I've not worked with Ponte a huge amount, but this is definitely lighter than some of the other ones that I've had. And I really fancied this kind of style, this kind of fabric to have as a pair of trousers. We've got a new girl working for us in our offices, and she's only about 18, and she's really young and funky, and she wears fabulous clothes, and every day I'm like, oh, what's she wearing today? I'm like, oh, I like what she's got on. She's got some gorgeous trousers, a bit like this, and I thought, right, I'm going to try and replicate those for myself, even though I'm like 20 odd years older. Anyway, so I got this Ponte-Roma, and I decided I was going to make the Sew Over It Ultimate Trousers, but I knew that the trousers were meant to be made in a stretch woven fabric, so I would have to deal with the pattern and the fabric very differently to what you're meant to. So the first thing I did was decided to just completely omit the zip. Now, I struggled with these trousers before because I made them in a cotton which had no stretch in them at all, and they fit really nicely, but they are a bit tight and don't give you much room for manoeuvre. So I think a stretch woven would be perfect, obviously, because that's what they're designed for. So I omitted the zip but decided to size down, because I thought if I kept them the size they were, even though they're slightly sort of a bit too well fitting on me, the ones that I've previously made, I thought that being in a stretch it would be too roomy and there would be too much give. So I omitted the zip. I did the size 8, and my measurements are bust 36, waist 30, hips 37, and I'll put those measurements down below in the description as well, so you can use that as a comparison for yourself when you're looking at pattern sizes. And I did them up, but I actually only tacked them together to then check to see how that fitted me, and they were still very slightly too big, really. So I turned them inside out, and I then pinned all down where I wanted to take them in, and I did that on one side and drew on the fabric, and then transferred those markings onto the opposite side as well. And I actually took the legs in as well, so they are almost more like a legging than they are a trouser, but I'm so pleased with how they've come out. The other thing that I did was, instead of doing a facing, is I actually measured the distance of the waist, or the circumference of the waist that I had been left with after my alterations, and I then made a piece of just a straight piece of fabric, and I measured my elastic and I increased it by the amount of seam allowance I was going to have. So I'm just trying to think in my head what I did, and I just made a waistband, which hopefully you can see here. So I made a waistband and actually popped some elastic in it. So these normally would have a zip down one side, and they would have a facing on the inside like this. But the facing is omitted and the waistband is added instead with some elastic, and I'm so pleased with the results. I just think they've come out really well. I think it goes really nicely with this top, and I did add a little bit of length as well. I think I added about 2 inches to the length, because they are actually meant to be sort of a capri, you know, slight ankle grazer kind of style, and I wanted them just a bit longer than that. I think they're really comfortable, but they do still look quite smart. I really like the idea of wearing these maybe in the spring, but with like a white t-shirt with a denim jacket and that kind of thing. So I think they're going to be quite versatile. I didn't really change anything else. All of the darts and things that I put in, I didn't adjust. I did them right where they were meant to be. I tried as best as I could to pattern match down the sides and down the front and down the back, which I think I've sort of managed to do fairly well. And I'm just really pleased with how they've come out, and I think this is a really nice outfit. So that was the first little thing that I've made for myself. I'm gonna stop the video there, get changed, and show you the next thing. So the next thing that I've made is the Joi Dress by Tilly and the Buttons, and I am so super pleased with how this has come out. The Joi Dress is in the pattern book Stretch by Tilly and the Buttons, and it's the last pattern in the book. And I'm really pleased that I've done it. I was really sort of unsure as to whether or not I wanted to do it, whether it would suit me, but I've made it and I love it, and I just want to make another one now. So I actually have been gifted this fabric in exchange for doing a blog post and making this garment up for Minerva Crafts. It is a viscose jersey, and it's in a monochrome and a very, what would we call it? Geometric kind of style pattern. And the dress is sort of what I would call a fit and flare dress. So it's sort of fairly fitted at the top and then sort of flares out at the bottom. And I'm just so delighted with it. The only thing that I would say with this dress is that I had real trouble doing the neckline, and I know that I absolutely haven't done it right, and I ended up hand stitching it a little bit to rectify whatever it was that I had done wrong. Now I've since seen, and a few people have since said that they have seen that Shona from Sewisfaction has done a video on how she does her necklines on the Joi dress. So I have seen that, and next time I make one, which I will be making another one for sure, I will definitely go and use that tutorial. So that seems to be the way forward for this dress. But on the whole, I'm just super pleased with it. It just feels really light and swishy. I just love the way it fits. I did the sleeves as 3/4 length sleeves, and I didn't like the idea of the fluty sleeves or the floaty sleeves. There are two different style sleeves that you can have with this, ones that are sort of very loose and light, or ones that are more fitted, and I just thought this would suit me more. And I also thought that if I had them more fitted, I could wear it with a cardigan and that kind of thing. So I'm really pleased with this dress. I'm trying to think what size I made, and I'm just trying to see if I've written it down on my notes, but I'm pretty sure I made size 4. If that's wrong, I'll put the details underneath, but I'll be putting all the information in the details below this video anyway. But the sizes seem to correspond with my body measurements. So yeah, nothing more to say other than I wore it on Christmas Day. It was a perfect Christmas Day dress because there was lots of room around the tummy department, so I could eat as much as I wanted to. It was also really comfortable, so I didn't feel sort of stiff and starchy and like I had to be, you know, sat up all the time. It was just really super comfy. The only thing was I did have to change partway through the evening because I spilt wine all over myself, which was really silly. I think I got a bit carried away with something and laughed and went whoa with my wine. But no, absolutely brilliant, and the fabric's really lovely. I've washed it a few times now and it washes up really nicely. It hasn't pilled, it just feels really nice and super soft. There is something that I would like to do with the remainder of this fabric because I have a really small amount left. And I've been doing quite a bit more running recently, and I've been wearing these really thick sort of headbands that you put on there, really lightweight material but very, very long, and you sort of double them over and put them on to keep your ears warm. And I think I've got enough to make myself one of those. I guess you'd kind of call it a snood or something like that, but I think I might whiz myself up one of those because it would only take 5 minutes to make. So that is my Joi dress. I'm going to get changed and show you the last two things that I've made. So on to the last two things that I made, and I am so chuffed with what I've made. I have made the Closet Core Patterns Felicity Sundress, and I've made it in a size 10, and I've made it from the fabric that came in my last December So Hayley Jane box. It is a brushed cotton, and it's in a beautiful tartan red and green, proper sort of Christmassy. I absolutely love it. It is just a lovely, lovely pinafore with these great big side seam pocket, or not side seam pockets, sorry, patch pockets, a fitted bodice, and then quite a straight skirt. Now the pattern comes with a few different options. It comes with a cross-back option, it comes with a straight back option, which is what I've done for myself, and it also comes with a mini version or a long version with side split seams. And I've actually changed my pattern so that it is just sort of on the knee or just below the knee. So it's neither the mini nor the long version. And I'm really pleased with how it's come out. I made this just in time, literally just in time for New Year's Eve. And I know obviously we weren't seeing anybody or going out anywhere because we are not allowed to at the moment. But it was just nice to have this and feel a little bit like it was sort of still Christmassy and what have you. I made this, I think I said, but I made this in a size 10. That corresponded to my body measurements. I'm really pleased with the fit on this. I am wearing it with a jumper underneath because that was how I intended to do it. I think that if I was to do that another time, possibly I could do with just not changing the pattern size, but just easing out ever so slightly on the seam allowances, maybe just on the side seams, just at the top here. Without my jumper on underneath, it fits absolutely beautifully, but with the jumper on underneath, obviously there's not quite so much wiggle room underneath it, but I'm really pleased with it anyway. I bought these gorgeous buttons from Make at 140 in Plymouth. I really wanted something that was going to be sort of really in keeping with the fabric, but it wouldn't detract from the fabric, and I think these have matched perfectly well. And I also put in a bit of a funny label, which I also bought from Make at 140, because if I'm quite honest with you, this did take a little bit of manipulating and brain power that maybe I didn't quite have over the Christmas period in trying to pattern match as best I could. I am really pleased with what I've done. I feel like I've pattern matched it really, really well. And the pockets and things, they seem to have matched up sort of really nicely. Side seams, etc. Yeah, all in all, I think I've managed to do it, but I did have to recut a few pattern pieces a few times just to really get them to match up properly. So I thought the label that I put in, which was, I think it says made with love and swear words, was very apt. Now I had a little bit of this fabric left over and I decided that I was going to make a pair of pajama bottoms, because whilst we weren't going out on New Year's Eve, I thought I could get dressed up, feel really, really nice, and then once I'd got to the stage, which was about half an hour to 40 minutes after I'd worn this, that I thought I just wanted to completely slob around, I could put my pyjamas on. Now I didn't have enough for a full pair of pyjamas, but I made myself a pair of Tilly and the Buttons Jamie pyjama shorts. Now I made these in a size 3. My measurements really should have been a size 4, but I was just too darn lazy, and I had the size 3 pattern cut out already, and I just thought, do you know what, I'm just gonna do it, and I just won't make the elastic as tight. But you know what, I'm really pleased with how they've come out, and I think if I'd made them any bigger, they might have sort of stuck out a bit more at the sides. I did put a little label in which just says made with love by Angela, which a friend gifted me a very long time ago, just because the backs and the fronts are slightly difficult to see, if, you know, which is the front and the back. So I put that in for that. And they're really comfy. This fabric, which I said I got from the So Hayley Jane box, it's actually from, that she sourced it from Crafty So-and-So, which is a shop in Leicester, and it's really beautifully soft. It's just absolutely lovely. It washed up beautifully. It's lovely and soft on one side and smooth, but on the opposite side, it's just very, very slight, almost fleecy, but obviously it's not quite, well, I suppose that's what they call the brushed bit. It's just really soft and snuggly, and I'm really pleased with how both garments have come out. I just think that that was a perfect New Year's Eve sort of combination to sort of dress up like this, but then keep my fabric, my dress fabric going for my pyjamas. So that's everything from me from December. I've really enjoyed everything that I've made this month. I feel like I've been able to fit everything really nicely, and I think my favourite's got to be John's pyjamas. I just think they're brilliant and they look great. But all in all, I'm really happy with everything that I've made. Let me know what you made in December. Let me know what you're thinking of making in the new year. I'm going to be bringing out another video very shortly on my plans for 2021 in terms of my sewing. Sewing and maybe a bit of knitting as well. There are a few things that I'd really like to make and challenge myself to do, so I'm going to share those thoughts with you in my next video. And if that's something that you really want to see, like I said before, don't forget to subscribe. But other than that, I hope everybody's well. Have a really good week, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Take care for now. Bye.